We got it. We did it, Lubie. We came through.
We did. Thank goodness.
Wow. I mean, that could not have been more exciting on Friday night. That was the
like
Panthers victory. You know what it reminded me of? It really did. It reminded me of that whole Nick Wallenda thing when he was going over the Grand Canyon there in the tightrope and they misgauged the wind. And all of a sudden you get like the Santa Ana winds are kicking up and they've made their way over to Las Vegas. And this guy's trying to balance himself. Now, he was sort of attached to the thing. So it wasn't like he was going to go into the bottom of the abyss there and fall like 1,500 feet. It was kind of treacherous to watch as he was praying to God. And as we've often referenced, probably the most unusual aspect of that whole telecast was that Joel Osteen was assisting from a mental standpoint, supposedly Nick Wallenda, as he went out there and he was giving him confidence. And there were many God references like, oh, God. And he's in the middle of the Grand Canyon there, not looking too sure of himself, wearing a pair of like ballet slippers and holding a rod. But I think Joel Osteen was having his rod held by Wallenda's wife.
Oh, yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Keep going, Nick. Keep going. See, Joel Osteen, I mean, he's very good at what he does, I have to say. He's very good at what he does. True. When you watch those lectures, you start to believe that, you know what, maybe Jesus can come and save me. But I don't think so.
I don't know. That's a long shot.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning from a stormy South Florida. Good morning, everybody. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz with you, the Defo Show here on Ion Channel. Very happy to be with you on what should be a busy edition of our Degenerate Friday show, as we will feature Caton Bredar in just a few minutes here on the program, about 15, 20 minutes from now. Caton Bredar going to join us from Baltimore, Maryland, where she will be reporting for TVG on the Preakness Stakes. Going to be a lot of fun. The filly, the big story there, I would think, Secret Oath and D. Wayne Lucas, probably not getting as much attention as he should be. Old D. Wayne. This guy's 86 years old, Libby. I was thinking as I was getting ready for the show this morning, I remember interviewing D. Wayne Lucas like in the middle 80s.
Wow.
And thinking, the guy's been around a long time. Wow, what a veteran trainer. And that was, 40 years ago. And here he is today with the one of the contenders anyway, and a horse that a lot of people like to win the Preakness after winning the Kentucky Oaks with Secret Oath, who a lot of people have pegged as a possible Preakness winner. I do want to say that Rachel Alexandra, I didn't bother to look this up, of course, too lazy to do my own research, but I want to say that Rachel Alexandra was the last filly to win the Kentucky Oaks, not entered in the Kentucky Derby, but the preliminary race there for fillies that goes on Friday before the Kentucky Derby runs on that first Saturday in May, and then go on to win the Preakness, beat Minette Bird, who was the shocking winner of the Kentucky Derby that year, paid over $100, but came back, ran a very, very representative race. As I recall, it was like a stretch duel of Affirmed and Aladark type proportions, right? So we can hear, the announcer saying, and Aladar's got a nose in front. Jack Anderson did have a nose in front, very briefly. I don't know that it really stuck. Aladar really stuck a nose in front of Affirmed in that race, but Affirmed prevailed, came back on the rail and won the race, and that was kind of the level of stretch duel, I believe, that Rachel Alexandra and Minette Bird staged in that Preakness, with Minette Bird going down by a nose, and Rachel Alexandra going on to distinguish herself as one of those fillies that won the Kentucky Oaks, and then subsequently went on to win the Preakness. So we'll see if that situation occurs. But D. Wayne Lucas, the trainer of Secret Oath, with a shot there to put his name, etch it even deeper into thoroughbred racing history, as at 86 years old, I would think that he would be the big story around this race. A lot of people are going to be looking at Epicenter, 6-5 favorite in the morning line. Some people feel that this horse is going to bounce. There are only 9 going in the field, so you're not looking at 20 like you did in the Kentucky Derby, so less chance that horse racing luck is going to have as much to do with it as it sometimes does in the Derby. And we'll get Caton Bredar's opinion on what's going on. And you also have the Black-Eyed Susan today, the race for the fillies. So huge weekend in thoroughbred racing. Caton's going to join us about 7:20 this morning on the video stream as well. And she's always dynamic. The Professor, who, I don't know, do we need to reel in the Professor a little bit? What's going on? Are we getting complaints about the Professor? No, I would think
love
not.
The Professor, and I hope he goes all in each and every week. That's why we have him.
That's it. And we push him right to the extreme there. And it doesn't take much of a nudge to get the professor to go off in some very radical directions. No doubt about it. I have a big board topic for him. I hope this isn't his topic this week because, I was getting ready to go out last night, play tennis with my son, who's been kicking my ass. And I don't, I'm not as, a competitor that gets upset about losing anymore. I'm just happy to be alive. I was thinking as I was getting creamed 6-1 in the second set, that, a lot of guys my age are in hospital beds right now. Here I am out there playing clay court tennis on a beautiful evening in South Florida. This was prior to the storms coming later on in the early morning hours. That was some wicked stuff. Were you getting that, Mike Lubitz?
No. I mean, if I might have gotten it, but I was sleeping. So I don't know. I didn't notice.
It was hard to sleep, man. I mean, this stuff was just pounding. And the first test of the storm windows that were installed this week, they passed with flying colors, although,
Nice.
you could clearly hear the noise, and there was lightning and thunder and all kinds of crazy stuff. But, wow, I mean, it was pretty wild. And I started thinking, you know what, and this may work for the Panthers. I started thinking, why don't I reread the Tim Tebow speech? Which the big board of Tim Tebow would be kind of interesting for the professor to attack. The Tebow speech, and I have to look to the side here. I'm sorry, people, not to address you directly here, but I have a computer off to the side here, and I popped it up. The Tebow speech. I just want to say one thing to the fans and everybody in Gator Nation. I'm sorry. And you know the history of this. Do I have to explain it, Lubie? Gators lost a game, and Tebow went off about how he's never going to do this and never going to do that. We were hoping for an undefeated season. That was my goal. It's something Florida's never done here. But I promise you one thing. This is where it got good. A lot of good will come out of this. You have never seen a player in the entire country play as hard as I will. And he went on and on about how he was going to do this and he was going to do that. And he was practically crying. And the thing was so insipidly stupid because you couldn't help but think that while this guy is saying this, not only, I mean, to just say, hey, you know what? The other team was really good today. They beat us. We might have made a few mistakes. I'll tell you what, we'll bounce back next week. Would that not have been sufficient, Lubie?
Yes.
Did you really have to go into this? I will never play harder. I will never lose again. I will never do this. I will never do that.
Are you kidding me?
Now, think about this. This is an institution that is well respected of higher education. I mean, it's difficult to get into the University of Florida. I do believe this, that as sad sack as the educational system is all the way up through high school in South Florida, and not just South Florida, but all over the state, I would imagine we're ahead of the pack when it comes to places like Waxahachie and Tallahassee and anything that ends in an EEE.
Yes, we care, right? Try. Yes.
Hillbilly stuff. But the college system here, I think, is excellent. And it's not only very affordable, but you have a lot of options, and there seem to be a lot of good schools, which the number one school in the state of Florida of the state school system is the University of Florida. There's no question. It's the hardest one to get into. You get rejected by the University of Florida, you go to FSU, although I would have been inclined to make that my number one priority because I'm thinking, I don't know, is the University of Florida a bigger party school than Florida State? You would know this, Lubie. No? Florida State, they don't care anymore, man. They're up there with those crackers, and you're on the border of Georgia, and there's not a whole hell of a lot to do there.
I mean, Florida State's worked on it a lot. They've actually become a top 20 public school. So academics have become a big thing, but they're still partying is still number one priority. Look, Florida, they party. Don't get me wrong. It's not the academic institution they want you to think it is, but it's not Florida State. Florida State, you have
but it's hard to get into. I mean,
it's very hard to get into.
Yes. Very hard to get into. You have to have some grades, and whatever the test score is, you have to have a very high test score, and in general, be a pretty good student, right? You can't get in there as a flake, can you? Any flakes? Yeah, I guess any school will accept a few flakes. No,
if you apply early and promise and swear on blood that you'll go there, at least when I was going into school, I knew kids that were borderline college that got in. So Florida is really tough if you want to be open and have other choices. Florida is tough, and it's a good school. Whatever.
You don't agree with me then that it would be the most difficult from a qualification standpoint of the state schools in Florida?
It was when I was
accepted in.
When I was going to school, when I was applying to colleges, it was. Now supposedly every college is insane and it's stressful for kids. But I presume Florida still is. Yes.
All right. Well, unless you're on the football team, which you could be Aaron Hernandez and come in with a rap sheet as as long as my nose, and and I have no problem getting in because Urban Meyer was there saying, "Now we need this kid; he can catch."
Exactly.
But all that being said, I would say this: I would stipulate that this is somewhat of a fair statement. Now there are beautiful girls everywhere in the state of
Yes,
Florida.
yes,
There are
yes.
beautiful women all over the universe, and
Yes.
you drop onto a campus. When my son, I dropped him off at the University of Central Florida. Now I would say if he was 18 at the time, then what was I? I was like 50, something like that. Is that possible? All
They're
right.
about 49, 50.
And I'm eyeballing these chicks as if I, wanted to just crash into one of the dormitories and become somewhat of a, not quite a pedophile, but darn
It's
close.
legal.
Right?
It's just gross. But
The
it's
image is
legal.
ugly, isn't it? Like a 50-year-old fat Deforrest rolling into the dormitories there and scaring all the girls in a panty raid. Forget about that. But I was acknowledging that there was a ton of talent there on the campus of the University of Central Florida. So what's it like at the University of Florida? It's like Babe Central.
Women, yes.
So what does this speech mean? And they take this stupid, whining, and insipid speech that Tebow made because he's a crybaby loser and couldn't accept the fact that it would be far more gracious and honoring God, which was his intention throughout his life, I guess, his declared intention. Wouldn't it be much more respectful in the eyes of God if you just congratulated your opponent for beating you and said, you know what? Next time, we're going to make it really tough on these guys. But if they beat us again, then, they deserve all the credit in the world because we're going to play our eyeballs out from now on. And they take this stupid speech, which is a childish, written as if, you were asking some kid in kindergarten to explain away a loss. And they etch it on one of the buildings on the campus there as if, this was Abe Lincoln saying 20 years ago, whatever the hell that was. 7 years ago. The score was 20 years, yeah.
Yes, yes.
So 87 years ago, which was a nice way of putting it, right? 7 years ago. But at least this was a speech, or the famous speeches in the world should not include this whining, sniveling, pathetic, unaccepting of a loss, inability to just recognize that the other team deserves some credit by a whining Tim Tebow, who was then going to go on and be somewhat of a bust as a professional football player. Pathetic. All right. That's etched in a building, on a building, on the campus of the University of Florida. And then you start thinking, wait a minute, man, with all of these babes here, this is a guy who couldn't even get laid when he was there.
I don't know if he couldn't get, he chose. I think Tim Tebow could have gotten laid very easily.
Danny Werfel is getting action every
everyone.
night.
What do you mean? You're in college. Random schmanks are getting
You're
laid.
the quarterback of the University of Florida and a Heisman Trophy winner.
Yes, and they were winning, yes.
Oh, my God.
I don't.
You think that was the case? This guy couldn't buy,
I'm sure he
buy
did
a date
fine
when he was
with
at the University of Florida.
It found me.
He ended up marrying like a Miss Universe, so what am I talking about?
Yes,
But no, that was ridiculous. I thought about reading that for inspiration, and I'm glad if it did reach any of you people there in my abridged edition of the Tebow speech, and I hope you go out there and you decide that you're never going to lose again. I'm going to read that to myself before I go to the track today, the Tebow speech. I will never work harder. I will never handicap more. I will never lose another race. Now, do you believe that? Not for 1 second. But it was Black Thursday for the local teams here last night. I'm trying to avoid getting into that. Wow, you talk about, and I often reference the maitre d' at the Dharma Greb restaurant whenever you would put a couple of farmers on one of your tables as you were sitting there looking at a room full of movie stars and celebrities and, the highest of society people from the Los Angeles area and around the world. And then all of a sudden you get these two dentists and their wives from Encino. And the maitre d' was a guy named Dari, who ended up being, as I've mentioned a few times, a subject on Unsolved Mysteries. They couldn't figure out what happened to this guy. That was later on in life. This was years later. But nonetheless, he would bring the people to the table. He would give you the ticket, and he would just sort of quietly say privately to you as he turned his head, "Such ugliness." Yep. And that was it. That's what it was last night. It was such ugliness. It was Black Thursday, huh? Panthers lose with 3.8 seconds to go in the game. They give up a goal. Oh, my God. I don't know that you could blame, Sergey there.
Even I'm not blaming Bobrovsky. That was pathetic.
Yeah, puck goes off the wall behind the net there, and nobody pays any attention to the guy. Was it Colton is skating in? They just roll right by him, and a puck goes by the guy, and it happened to be in the area, and goes right on the stick of Colton, who was standing in front of the net there. And Bobrovsky literally had no chance. And you lose a game like that with 3.8 seconds to go on your home ice to go down 0-2 in the series.
Yep.
And we'll have the Gambling Gourmet on later on, Mike Mayo. Now, it's so funny because I started to mention this. I don't know. Did you get a little nerved out when he's doing those remotes? Because I'm saying, Mayo, you were right about this. And he's like, oh, you just keep changing your mind. I'm like, no, I realized that
We've
you
been consistent after game one.
Yeah, this was a stroke of genius on your part. You realized that the team was a fraud, that it was all fugazi, that the President's Cup is a curse. And the only thing you misgauged was that we're not going to lose to the Capitals, but he comes back and sarcastically suggests that, oh, you know what, you want to bet that they don't get swept in the next round? And I thought, nah, I really don't want to bet that. You know what, you lost that bet. I'm past this thing because I don't trust them after that first series.
No, they were like this.
They find a way to lose both games at home to start off the second round of the playoffs. And it does look like Sayonara City. And it's also very possible that Brunette could end up being coach of the year. Now, in the NHL, they don't care about distinctions, but he could end up winning coach of the year. He's one of 3 finalists, along with Gerard Gallant, and I forget who the other guy is, who was one of the finalists for the award. But, and you're thinking it's probably going to be one of those 2 guys, right? Gallant in the New York market there did a good job with the Rangers. They've been floundering for years, and he puts them right there on the map and into the second round of the playoffs as well. Then you would have to think at least in there with a shot. They lost a heartbreaker themselves to Carolina in the first game, but I'm not sure that the postseason matters. So if it doesn't, is the award just based on regular season? It would have to be.
Yeah.
For coach of the year, just like all of these other awards for MVP and things like that. So, wow, it's possible that Brunette could win coach of the year. And yet, at the same time, if they get swept by the Lightning, I would tend to fire the guy. Wouldn't you?
I would keep him.
I'd say, you know what? This guy didn't have it together.
I don't know so much about hockey, so I'm trying to leave it to other people. But there's a reason you have a coach, so it must matter. And we see these other teams fire coaches, so who works.
0 for 25 power play in the postseason.
There's got to be something a coach can do about the fact that every other team scored at least once a game on the power play, and they've now gone. So it's 8 games. They've now gone 8 games without, and they've had through 4 or more power plays in every game. I'm like, there's nothing you can do, and there's no activity. Like, they will get it on the net, but there's no activity. Like, all these other teams are getting rebounds and they're rushing the net. Like, they don't. To me, like, What are you doing? There's nothing you can do differently. Like, come on.
Your degenerate math is a little bit off there. I mean, if they played 8 games and they had 4 power plays a game, they'd be 0 for 32 on the power play.
They've had 3 or more. I would say.
But exaggerating to make a point on sports talk is you know, like Sports Talk 101. Let's embellish the point here by making the numbers as askew as A-Rod did in Major League Baseball with the stats. And then the Heat, that was an abortion yesterday. They're up 10 early in the game, and that's kind of where I left the bar that I was watching with my son after our tennis match, and we're thinking, oh, wow, they're looking good. So I flicked the thing on the radio, and by the time I got home, they were still in a great position.
Yeah,
and I turned away for a while, and I come back to it, and they're down like 40.
Yes.
It was amazing. Big difference there having Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart, the Defensive Player of the Year in the NBA. Also, after getting off to a very slow start offensively, ended up with 20 points, 10 rebounds in the ball game, and 3 steals.
He had 9 assists. He literally almost did a triple double. He's not that good offensively.
You think Spo was just looking at what happened with Doc Rivers? He kind of yanked everybody a little bit early in that game. I mean, do you have any chance when you're down 30 in the fourth quarter? Or do you just pull all of your players and let them
they just never made a run. I mean, you can see when this team's done this, like different points in this season, you can just see them sort of be like, and it's not worth risking them. I don't know what the hell last night was. I mean, look, the Celtics at least the night before made a run at some point and cut it to 10 with 8 minutes left in the fourth. They never got really closer than that when the game was in the balance, but they at least did something. The game, like the Heat never weren't, after the Celtics took a 23-21 lead, the Heat never made a run. Like, never did anything. That was a weird, especially with Eastern Conference Finals at home. You'd really like to get up 2-0. I don't know what the
Not a contentious game at all. I mean, just blowout
it
city
was a
all the way
joke.
around. And I don't know about were the Celtics doing anything particularly phenomenal in this game, or
No,
was it
they
just
were
that
hitting their
the Heat
shots.
had nothing?
They were hitting their shots, and the Heat weren't getting bailed out by the Celtics missing open shots, but they were open shots. Like the Heat's defense was a joke. Like they looked like they were like, all right, we got a split, but you're at home. At home, you're not looking for a split. Like that's on the
No.
road that you want to split.
No, you really want to put your thumb on the jugular there
Come
and
on.
get up 2-0 and force Boston to hold serve and win 2 games at home. So that looked very bleak. We've seen it's been weird, the playoffs in the NBA. I believe I saw a stat last night that 21 of the NBA playoff games so far have been decided by 20 points or more.
Yeah, there've been a lot of blowouts. Mayo
Blowouts.
said it last night, and he's not wrong. Like, not all the games, but most of the games have been blowouts. I don't know what's going on with these teams, but the ebbs and flows are super strong.
Yeah. I mean, that's 20 points or more in 21 games have been decided in the postseason so far, and we're all right into the third round. But nonetheless, that's a surprising disparity and discrepancy when it comes to games that are normally very tightly contested, and teams pull back a little bit. All right, Caton Bredar, she's going to join us, in a couple of minutes here, Lubie? Is that the deal?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. We'll connect with Caton Bredar. Let me tell you about Hialeah Park, and Hialeah Park would be a great place to punch away. I'm thinking about jogging down there tomorrow, Lube, and betting the Preakness Stakes at Hialeah Park and just hanging out there in the champion simulcasting room for the afternoon, because it was just such a great time there at the Derby before the fights. And it reminded me how much I loved that champion simulcasting room. I go to various simulcasting places all around the country, and it's usually my first move is to check out where they have simulcasting. As nice a room as you'll find anywhere in the country. And that's indicative of what's going on in Hialeah all across the board, because you can go into the casino there. That is hopping. The Mustang loves that. Poker room, everybody raves about it. Our good friend NASCAR Roger, from whom we haven't heard for a while.
It's been a while, yeah.
What do you think? Is NASCAR Roger okay? Has he found it? Yeah, he was aware of the show, was he not?
Yes, we've had him on the Trivia Challenge. He's played.
Oh, he has? Okay.
All
right. Haven't heard from him for a while. So we always worry about that, especially when it gets to, guys in our audience that are, getting up there a little bit in years, been around for a while, when they're telling stories about how much fun it was in the 50s, to be here in Florida and go to Hialeah. But he's a loyal Hialeah supporter and goes to the poker room all the time and says it's as good, as fine as any you can find anywhere in the world. And that's pretty much true of everything, whether you're talking about the food and drink, the atmosphere, the way they operate, the casino there. It's just unbelievable, the way they treat people with so much respect and dignity. And then they're willing to give you a lot of free play also if you get a player's card. So you're going to love it. The reason that they're so successful in this now casino business, when a lot of people doubted they would ever get it off the ground, is because they actually do believe in making it kind of a family affair and making you feel real good about being there. So check it out for yourself. Get that vibe going. It's always very exciting. And check out the Black Eyed Susan today. And, of course, the Preakness Stakes going on tomorrow from the Champion Simulcasting Room at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, coming back with Caton Bredar from Baltimore, Maryland, on the side of the Preakness. Later on, the Professor and the Gambling Gourmet Mike Mayo. It's a Degenerate Friday. Very happy to have you guys with us. Stick around. Should be a lot of fun. We'll get a lot of insight into a variety of things on the Degenerate circuit. He's Mike Lubitz. I'm Jeff Deforrest. We're on Ion Channel and back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
7:23.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305 453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
Jerry Bailey, Jerry Bailey, Jerry Bailey. Jerry, can you win one tonight? Come on and win one. Make that horse move faster. Win one. Come on, it's been a disaster. Win one. I need some dough right now. Win one. Jerry Bailey, can you win one, please? Jerry Bailey.
The morning just isn't right without Defo. We now return to the Defo Show.
Always amazes me every time I hear that clip, the falsetto ability of Jersey Kyle Martinez. He should have been one of the Jersey boys, which he is. This is great because, you worry in this industry about cell phone crap out and, of course, Wi-Fi connections now with the video element in play here. And we welcome from her hotel room in Baltimore, side of the Preakness Stakes in Maryland, the lovely TVG's top analyst, in my opinion, one of the best in the business in any sport at what she does. The lovely Caton Bredar joins us here on the show. Caton, how are you? You look great.
Oh, thank you, guys. I everything is good. So far, so good. Got a good night's sleep. Ready for a big 95-degree plus Florida type day here in Baltimore, Maryland. It's going to be steamy.
Steamy and crowded, I would imagine. I've been watching some of the Pimlico races leading up to this. And, of course, we have the Black-Eyed Susan today, which will not have Secret Oath, who will run in the Derby. And, of course, Secret Oath did help, key a big score for you on the Derby because, unlike me, you went ahead and took advantage of the successful wheel. I was going to back wheel Epicenter in the race in Exactas. Didn't do it, of course. And everybody, I mean, to the people that I owe money to, I did not have it for the 100,000th time.
That was so funny.
Everybody thinks I copped like, $6,000. I know you had it for $3. I had nothing. I feel like a fool. Lubie heard me whining for the next 4 hours. And here I am a week later, and I'm still crying. But you had Secret Oath in that Oaks Derby double. And that had to be a lot of fun watching. Did you know that was the 21, or were you thinking that was the 2 at 23 to 1 that came
I thought it was the 2. I really did. And all of us were kind of, who is that? Who is that? We're scrambling. And then They have to come in color, though, for the number 21 saddle top, because it really did look white when he crossed the finish line, which is the 2. So, and then you could only see the 2. You couldn't see the 21. But fortunately, we didn't have to call the race. And once we figured, it was sort of delayed jubilation, after we finally realized who it was, because it certainly was the best possible scenario. If you were going to be completely wrong about the race, you can at least come up with something that nobody had.
Well, and that's part of the beauty of it. And I don't know that element is in play here in the Preakness, although there seems to be a wide cross-section of opinion as to how this is going to play out. It was interesting, too, because, you've been around the racetrack, a long time. We go all the way back to Calder, and I've been at racetracks my whole life. And you usually have jockey recognition. The jockey recognition factor is strong. And, we're all looking at the screen there, and Louie's like, who's that? And I'm like, I don't know. I thought Sonny Leon was a backup catcher for the Tigers. And I didn't recognize the guy. It looked a little bit like Renee Douglas might have had a mount in a race. But, and that was a pleasant surprise to see that, horse come across there with the 21 saddle. And then everybody, I got high-fived so hard by some, it was a, largely Latin crowd, as you might imagine, at Hialeah. And the guy high-fived me so hard, I think I broke my hand. Because they had it, right? And then I know just enough Spanish to know that they were screaming that the horse was 80 to 1.
Sonny Leon. I mean, how did you not have it, right? That's what everybody at Belterra also. I probably had at least a couple bucks on him just because it was Sonny Leon. That to me was one of the, besides cashing the ticket, was one of the best parts of the story, because I think it kind of reinforces the idea that there are a lot of really good riders out there that are never getting a horse that's capable of running in the Derby, or they don't get the chance. I mean, if they did, you would see it's horse racing, not jockey racing. And I have a lot of respect for the jocks, and there are some jockeys that can make a difference. But at the end of the day, there are so many more that are capable if they got the chance. And that's kind of what the Derby was all about in that moment, was showing that, it's not a story of anybody can win. It's still a pretty specific profession that requires some skills. And I mean, Sonny had nerves of steel to sit in the pocket the way he did when he was completely behind Tawnyport. And he was also a little lucky that Tawnyport kept on going for enough time for him to get that path, get momentum. But he still made that split-second decision to go around Messier in the stretch, who was tiring. If he doesn't do that, he doesn't win the race, in my opinion. So I think, he showed that there are a lot of good riders out there that don't get the credit like him.
Well, and we discussed this on Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. I would believe it to be unprecedented that a jockey who won the Kentucky Derby had his next mount at Belterra Park in Ohio.
See,
and then at the end of the race... Yeah, go ahead.
Said for working on Mondays and Tuesdays at TVG, because I did know who Sonny Leon was. Because never on the off day.
Oh yeah, because they're showing those races where the evil voice in my head is telling me to go out to the simulcasting facility nearby, which would be the Isle Casino in Pompano Beach here where I live, or and one voice is saying go out there, and then your other voice is saying no. Wait till the end of the week when the real tracks are running. Don't be out there, losing your bankroll on Mahoning and Belterra.
That third voice is your wife telling you stay home and mow the lawn.
Exactly.
What really sucks about all of this, electronic communication now is it's impossible to hide a bank withdrawal or an ATM hit or a credit card, maximizing, move where, you're paying $40 in juice for every 100 that you get, but you're so desperate you go ahead and do it. At the end of the race, though, it looked like a race from the Hippodromo or something, because I didn't recognize the jockey. The 21 wins it. The lighting is bad. You're trying to figure out who was that horse, and then the prices were just as bizarre. So it was a lot of fun.
The ultimate let it ride racing experience, really.
Yeah, it would have been nice to get a piece of that exacta, but I don't want to bring that up again. All right, you know me. I love signs from the gods of gambling, and so I can't help it. But in the Black Eyed Susan today, can you help me make a case for radio days?
Oh, yeah.
Pimlico? For
sure. I mean, that did not pick her on top, but I really went back and forth. And in fact, I believe my colleague, Gabby Gaudette, is very bullish on radio days. And you believe in signs, Jeff? I have run in to an longtime assistant who's here with Shug McGahee's horses. Like every time I turn the corner, in fact, she said to me yesterday, "Are you following me?" Because we ended up.
And you might have been.
I said, "You know what that means? You're probably going to win the race, because every time that happens, and I run into somebody over and over and over again, their horse runs big." But I think that she's sitting on a big race. I think that the 7 Furlong Beaumont was kind of, I don't want to say it was a prep, because it was an important race, and I think they would have liked to have won. But at the same time, she kind of. I thought she showed that what she wants to do is go longer, and this gave her the setup to really excel as she stretches out. So I think that she's very, very live. And of course, with the name, you got to go with radio days. But
yes.
But I am going with,
especially since our radio days have been now numbered in the past.
Done.
Well, which brings me to my selection, which is distinctly possible. Chad Brown, she's a little under the radar. She's a little less experienced than some of the others in here, but her last race was really good. She won at a maiden special weight at Keeneland. I know it was a maiden race, but it was sort of a coming out party, in my opinion. Before that, she actually ran second to Juju's Map, who I think is kind of among the best in the category, but was a little behind the 8 ball in getting ready for 2022. So that's why you don't see her in these races. But I just think I think you're going to get a good price on a Chad Brown horse that nobody's really talking about, and that I think is on par with the top fillies in here. But this year, much like the Derby was going into it, when we said, 5, 6, 7 horses that you can make a strong case for, and truly maybe a race anybody can win, which indeed it turned out to be. To me, the Oaks is this year, as opposed to the Preakness, because I think the Preakness you can narrow down, but the Black-Eyed Susan. But the Black-Eyed Susan, you can, I think, throw a net over them, and that's the way you're going to catch the winner.
I think you've helped the gods embellish my case, too, with Radio Days, since you were making, at least according to this Shug McGahee assistant, TikTok McLaughlin type of moves.
Exactly.
To find out if Seabiscuit was really going to run in the Santa Anita Derby. All right. Rich Strike wins, pays 160 plus. Keys, enormous exotics. Anybody that had a piece was thrilled with this year's Derby. And yet, people pay a lot of attention to the Derby, and then subsequently want to root 2 weeks later for the possibility of a Triple Crown winner emerging, and then the 3 weeks of anticipation up to the Belmont are always great. And a lot of different things can happen, but the horse doesn't run, and immediately fuels speculation that this horse will be running in some Latin country, maybe at the Hippodromo next, and that the connections will find a way to make their way into a non-extraditable country and walk off with the purse money. But do you buy that it was just simply the owner's decision because he thought that the 2 weeks was too short of a time to run this horse back? And should there be a change? I guess this is the even larger question to the structure, in your opinion, Caton Bredar of TVG and many other affiliations and distinctions. Should they consider changing the format and stretching the Triple Crown out?
My opinion is that it's not going to change the idea of whether or not the Derby winner runs back, and it's not going to change whether or not you get a bigger field. And to me, it's going to make it harder to win the Triple Crown if you stretch it out more, because the likelihood of having one horse that can make it through a longer period of time, through 3 races, is less likely than the shorter period of time. But that said, it doesn't bother me if they do. I mean, because it stops people from saying they should change it. And it also silences the people who mistakenly believe that 2 weeks is too short a time for horses to run back. So I don't buy that theory, but at the same time, I'd be happy enough if people stopped talking about it and kept thinking that is a problem. So it eliminates one thing that we're talking about, but I'm sure they'll find some other things. But I don't think it solves the problems. But I also am not one that's like gonna, at this point, I mean, the only tradition I'm gonna dig my heels on is me or you guys, right? Let's all keep getting together and keep working and getting to get paid to talk about horse racing and show up at the races and bet. But other than that, I think you got to evolve to survive. So if maybe give it a try and see if it works.
I mean, you remember D. Wayne Lucas from like the distant past, and I was thinking this morning, like most of the guys that were at his level of training, fabled trainers going back into the 80s, that they're long gone, either out of the game or, unfortunately, at that big racetrack in the sky, trying to get a couple of good horses to be in their stable. But should he not be a bigger story? I don't know. I'm not hearing as much about D. Wayne. There's an article here and there, but I mean, is entering this filly in the Preakness after coming out of the Kentucky Oaks with a legitimate shot to win. I mean, there are many people that believe that he's going to win this race at 86.
If she were in the Black-Eyed Susan, she'd be like 3 to 5 or less.
Yeah.
And she's proven she can be competitive with the Colts. And I think that I personally don't know that she is, if she runs her best race and Epicenter runs his best race, I don't know if she beats Epicenter, and that's kind of why. But I think it is a huge story, and it is amazing to see her. Looks very, very good. I know people have talked about she's not the biggest. She's big in her frame, but she doesn't carry a lot of weight. She's a very lean machine, if you will, and I think people mistakenly think that, it's one race too many. At some point, maybe that'll be the case, but I don't know. I haven't seen it. I think she still looks really good, and I think she's sitting on another big race. But I think Epicenter might be a little better. It's from a storyline standpoint, though, you'd be hard pressed to find a better story than 86-year-old Wayne Lucas, who's, but what's also really fun about this is somebody said, Kenny Rice came up to me and said, you remember about 30 years ago when the person everybody wanted to demonize was Wayne Lucas, because he was like in his glory days at the head of the game, and everybody was accusing him and finger pointing, and he was the guy everybody loved to hate because he was on top of the world and kind of the groundbreaker, in fact, for kind of big name Wayne off the plane, travel and take the money type of modus operandi. And now he's everybody's favorite grandfather that they can't get enough of, right? And they absolutely love him. So it's kind of fun to see.
Guys are buying cowboy hats. Have you ever heard Santa Anita track announcer Frank Miramati got his start at Hialeah Park, where they launched a lot of great announcing careers? Have you ever heard his Wayne Lucas impression?
I have not. I'll have to. That one.
No, it's brilliant.
He's great.
Baffert loves it, man. Baffert will call him over to, he'll invite him out to Spago just to have him do the Wayne Lucas impression because, as any impressionist does, he tends to harpoon and exaggerate, some of the more comical aspects of what the man says and how he says it. But just a quick story, our good friend, mutual friend Hank Goldberg, was one of these, and when he was on the radio, very competitive, I'm the one breaking all the stories and I get all the big names. So Miramati calls us one day before some big race in the Triple Crown as Wayne Lucas. And, so it's a total fraud, right? And I never forget, Hank comes on his show and he goes, I heard they had Wayne Lucas on this morning, but I had lunch with him this afternoon. I'm like, Hank, man, you didn't know that was like a gag? I mean, how crazy is that? But no, so I always have a little Wayne in my head. We're all about winning here. I mean, the way that he says it, he sounds almost like a little bit of a cartoon character. All right, so who's going to win? I'm all in on Skippy Longstocking, a horse that has my dog's name involved. Maybe a stretch of the imagination there, at least according to Vic Cangelosi in the New York Post. This horse is not going to finish any better than 8th. And there's the usual new shooters for the Preakness, including one that the owners supplemented to the tune of, does 160 or 150,000 mean so little to these guys that they just go ahead and fire it up? Or does not imply that they have a firm conviction they can win the race? So how do you see it shaking out, all these different elements?
Well, I think that unlike the Derby, there's a little less speed than there was this time in the Preakness. You've got a horse who's the long shot, who's not going to be 80-1 because so many people are now going to bet on him when he
Fenwick. That's your horse.
It's Fenwick. Now, he's certainly my rooting interest.
Yeah.
I would love to see it. I don't necessarily. I'm not betting on this horse outside of the wheels and things that he'll be a part of. But
don't you have to slap an obligatory 20 to win on this horse? Caton with Laurent Giroux riding Fenwick after the Derby? The signs, my
Here's
friend.
the deal. I'll use him in terms of an all button, and then I win if he wins. Believe me.
All right. Yeah. No, you make out like a panda. What's the purse here? Like a couple of million? It's got to be great.
but I don't think. I don't see it. I will say he's a beautiful horse. I was watching him yesterday graze, and he really is. He's got a lot of size, but he does have the potential though to make a mark on the race by kind of screwing things up for early voting, because early voting has speed. And I was on early voting's bandwagon until the Derby, and then Mo Donegal didn't run very well, and Mo Donegal beat early voting, and the Wood Memorial curse, it just hasn't proven to be that great of a race as far as the quality was concerned. So I thought maybe I was wrong about early voting in the early stages. Maybe he's not quite as good. That could turn out to be a mistake that could haunt me. So I'm not using early voting, but he is part of the pace, trained by Chad Brown, who did this kind of move with cloud computing where he sat out the Derby, opts for the Preakness and wins it. Wouldn't shock me if he does, but he may have to deal with Fenwick on the lead. And I think also you're going to see probably Epicenter a little closer to the pace, but he doesn't have to be on the lead, and that's his biggest strength. So I've got Epicenter to win. I see no reason why he can't. I mean, I think he's the best 3-year-old right now, and if he maintains his form, he really should win this race. And I should add, if Joel Rosario doesn't mess it up, that's what we always say to Florent before he goes out on a horse we like a lot. Just don't mess it up. And I think the horse is there, and so he's top pick, which is no fun because he'll be favored. I'm going to use Creative Minister, as you mentioned, the horse that was supplemented. I think Kenny McPeak would have saved the owners the trouble of supplementing if he didn't believe the horse was at least going to be competitive. I don't know if he can win, but I think he could hit the board. He was impressive when he won last time out. He can sit kind of that stalking pace. He doesn't have to be so far out of it, but he'll still come up with a nice late kick. And then you can go a lot of different directions. I threw in early voting to hang around for third, but Secret Oath impresses me more and more every day. So she's going to be a horse that I'm going to throw in like any exactas and trifectas, because I thought maybe this would turn out to be one race too many, but when I've seen her and it's just brief, she doesn't look like she's lost much to me.
Well, in the spirit of Let It Ride, has our mutual friend Todd Schrupp made a selection yet? Because, the line from Let It Ride that always stands out is after the guy, mentions a horse, he says, put a line through it.
You know what? I'm going to have to look. I know he's either on Epicenter or he's on the whole TVG crew. It was very interesting. All of us, I just saw it come out last night, and all of us have got, except for one, have Epicenter or Secret Oath. I think Matt Carruthers threw in a bomber, and
I tend to put a line through his horses.
Relatively speaking, Christina Blacker put early voting.
All right.
So that was good. And that was, that's it. Everybody else was either Epicenter or Secret Oath. So that could be really good.
What about the Sarge?
Really
Where's the Sarge? Is the Sarge involved?
I don't know I'm not sure who he's picking, but I think he's here someplace.
Oh, yeah.
Usually he goes to the Timonium sale. So there's a lot of trainers who do that huge double. They go to the Timonium sale and they pick up the Preakness.
Oh, very nice. All right. So your selection is for the crowd out there?
Epicenter.
Gonna do it. Almost had it in the Derby. Big shocker up the rail. That turned out, great. Now, when are we going to see you on TVG? Because so happy that you're involved in the coverage on this race. I'm glad you got to enjoy the Derby. That had to be a lot of fun. I've had that, where, you're involved in a broadcast most of the time, but then you have the night off and you get to enjoy a big event. So I would imagine you had a blast at the Derby, but when can we see you on TVG?
I will be today. I'm picking up the second half of the day, and I will be on tomorrow, but we'll be on pretty much. TVG's coverage kicks off very early because of an early post time today. So we're on at, I think, 11 Eastern.
Oh, nice.
And I pick up about halfway, not even halfway. I think it's about the fourth race. I start, and then tomorrow, again, early start, and TVG's on all day until NBC's coverage. We won't be broadcasting on site. That's when, but we will show all the races. So you can tune in, and I'll be on pretty much all day from there as well. It necessitated going out and buying some different clothes because I didn't have 95 degrees both days. But it really is supposed to be record-breaking heat both today and tomorrow.
Wow, I hope they have some strong fans there on the set, and I don't mean the guys that are screaming and yelling for the horses and plunging their brains out. Now, any special approach on a hat? Do you have a lucky hat for the occasion?
This year I do not even have a hat yet.
Oh, all right.
I'm going to go and see who's
I love the new do. The new hairstyle is brilliant. Everybody's been highly complimentary, I see, on all of the TVG social media. Excellent. Caton, yeah,
as long as
go
they're
ahead.
saying nice thing, as long as they're still talking about you, I'm happy. So just
yeah, we look forward to your brilliant work. I'm going to tune in early this morning here and catch much of the festivities there and try and pick up some things. You guys are very insightful there on the backstretch and all over the place, and a lot of good reporting being done by the people at TVG, and especially you when you're in that anchor chair. Just absolutely brilliant. Thanks so much for getting up early with us, and it worked out well. I was saying cell phone crap out and weak Wi-Fi. Now the bigger nemesis with the video streaming, but it was brilliant as always, Caton Bredar. Thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Good luck, guys.
All right, thanks so much, Caton Bredar, ladies and gentlemen. That was great, huh? Caton
Yes,
Bredar.
sir.
Oh, it's very refreshing to have Caton on the show. All right, speaking of refreshing, and you know what? I was thinking,
ready to go.
People, think that I'm like, I guess leaning towards being overwhelmingly sarcastic about everything. Here I am, and I don't know if the professor's going to do the big board of Tim Tebow's speeches.
Someday, I don't know if you have that many speeches, but I'm sure.
I think you could spend some time on Tebow dissecting some of the oddities, including that. I don't know. I mean, how strong is your commitment to God that you could be? How many years was he at Florida? Like 4? Was he there the whole time?
Yeah, he went to senior year. Yeah, 4.
Yeah. 4 years at the University of Florida, and he was never tempted to break away from the notion that somehow having sex was going to ruin his relationship with God. What do you think, Lubie?
I don't know. I don't know anyone that.
You're 18 years old. You're as horny as you will ever be in your lifetime. This is your prime, man. This is Dr. J when he was in the ABA. I mean, come on. And never? Come on. Temptation. You're the quarterback at the University of Florida. And, you're getting imagine, I don't know, how much money did they pay Tebow to go to Florida? What do you think? Because what would he have done in name, image, and likeness?
Oh, I don't know. He would have set record. I mean,
which you have to love our boy Nick coming out there and now backtracking and in a fight, of course, with one of your other favorites, that turncoat piece of crap, Jimbo Fisher, who left you so high and dry that you've had a series of nothing but questionable coaching decisions made ever since, including, I don't know, is the jury still out on Mike Norvell?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Obviously.
What's he doing? They even bought Primetime into it, man. I mean, Saban is in an Affleck commercial with Prime Time, right? Deion Sanders.
Yes.
And then he goes out and just flat out insults him. Even if it's true. Come on, Nick. What do you think? Your record is clean? Is that what he's complaining about? That he's like doing everything by a book? And there is no book on this, Nick. I'm sorry. The book is out the door there with Mark Emmert and all of these clowns from the NCAA. It's over, my friend. Right? This is right out of Rambo. It's over, Johnny. It's over. All right, the professor coming up next with the big board. Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, will be with us as well. And I'm wondering, I mean, the guy is so mixed up right now based on the fact that, and this has to be horrifying to him to realize that he was right about the lightning sweep. And you're in a position now where I don't know what you could have gotten on that. Maybe you can look up the odds, what they were of a lightning sweep of the Panthers in round 2 of the NHL playoffs. And he does a mind bet on this thing and then backs out of it and says that I'm a clown for suggesting it's going to happen. Unbelievable. How more lost can you be than Mike Mayo is right now? We'll find out when he joins us after the professor. That's coming up next here. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, great place to go. Mile marker 104, Key Largo. You can't beat it. Looking for a great place to relax over the weekend? Wow. I mean, you head right out of Florida City. It's a short jog from Broward County, even, if you're a South Floridian, which many of our listeners and viewers are. And you're here in town and you're thinking, I want to completely change my whole vibe for the weekend. Right down there to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway. Great food, great drink, great atmosphere. We've all been there. Professor was down there with us, and he's in the restaurant business, and he had nothing but high praise for Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill because everything was just absolutely superb, and yet you still had that relaxed Keeves vibe that you were seeking out. So you got a little bit of a change of environment and change of atmosphere. It's fantastic. Check it out for yourself. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. Professor coming up next with the big board. Later on, the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He's Mike Lubitz. Our thanks to Caton Bredar. Brilliant performance as always on a Degenerate Friday here on the Defo Show. Back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Oh, and I was asked by one of our fans to mention the retirement of Mick Hubert, which You know, and he actually acknowledged that we refrained from playing farm animals in the background when Hubert was on the show because we had so much just outright respect for the guy being the voice of the Gators for all of those years. And even if you hated the Gators and the sound of his voice, you knew exactly what you were listening to the minute you turned on the radio. It didn't take 2 seconds to identify, wow, that's Mick Hubert and that's a Gator game. And I think, you know, that's at the essence of what you would like if you were hiring a guy to and keeping a guy around to be your college football announcer. Same could be said for Gene Deckeroff, right? Florida State, who also, right, isn't he retired? Gino's hanging it up.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. But there's room at the top, Lubie.
There you go.
Wouldn't that be ironic if you made it as the longtime announcer of the Florida Gators football program? That would be great. Okay, let's go up to the booth. And Mike Lubitz, I can't believe these. You know, you start using all kinds of foul language. You're referring to the Gator football team that you're supposed to admire. All right, Professor, up next here in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 7:54. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
How many gamblers did I bail out last weekend with my game of the year? A $100 bettor made $10,000. A $500 bettor made $50,000. Well, I got 6 games on Sunday that I'm releasing absolutely free. These games are a burial, a blowout, a human lock. You can bet your unborn children on these 6 games. Absolutely.
I believe.
We now return to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz, the Defo Show here on ION Channel, a Degenerate Friday. And it's always a pleasure to welcome this gentleman, become a big hit with his Professor's Big Board to the program. And, of course, always been doing a dynamic job for us when it comes to picking winners here on the show, especially college football and college basketball. And then extrapolating out due to COVID concerns, all of a sudden he is hitting like a champ on Australian rules football. And now the USFL. It is almost like an ATM machine for this guy. Just unbelievable the way he's hitting games. The professor joins us here on the show. Professor, how are you, my friend?
I'm not so great. I mean, for all my cynicism, I'm a South Florida sports fan, and last night was not great. I'm a little relieved to find the Lubies alive, because I sent him a text in the second quarter of the Heat game. I didn't get an answer, and I thought it could be like I'm taking a whole bottle full of Tylenol PM, and we'll see if he'll wake up in the morning time.
He was very much, looking like Johnny Depp, after some brawl with Amber Heard. It was sort of, I don't know that it was inexplicable that they would lose, but in that fashion, I mean, that was kind of frightening. And then I don't know how big of a Florida Panther fan you are. I'm assuming that they are interested. Oh, not at all. Okay.
0%.
That was brutal. I mean, and the brutal part of it is going to be explored later on.
They scored with 2 seconds left, right?
Yes.
Just under 4. 3.8 seconds. Yeah.
Okay.
But irrelevant. I mean, inside the last couple of seconds, you lose a game like that. My God. I mean,
impossible.
In hockey, it's not like a guy made a tip in at the buzzer in basketball. I mean,
I'm not really that upset about the whole Panthers thing, although I am cheering for the Panthers. my limited knowledge of hockey includes the fact that Tampa Bay just absolutely owns the Florida Panthers.
Yes.
It has for a number of years. So I'm not shocked by that. Probably kind of a bad break that once again they're running into the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Heat, a lot more disturbing. There are several explanations. The one that comes back to me is just very uncommon under the Eric Spoelstra era. We're not the biggest fans of Eric Spoelstra when he first got hired. Mickey hired his car washer to be the coach.
He was filming his kid's bar mitzvah.
He's actually become a really excellent coach. And the one thing you haven't seen out of Eric Spoelstra teams is like the flatness you saw after they got up, 10 points early in the game. Just really a lazy effort. There's no other way to say it for the Miami Heat. In that sense, I'm not really that concerned. On the other hand, we've got this trend going on where it's Jimmy Butler goes to the free throw line 15 to 20 times and scores 40 points, or otherwise the Miami Heat have absolutely no offensive answers. That's the only offense Miami's had for, a series and a half now. And that's probably not a good answer for winning this series, and it's definitely not a good answer for winning a championship. So that one's a little bit more concerning to me.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler's been razor sharp too. I mean,
he's
my
been
son
great.
and I were
Even
talking about it. I don't know that I always saw him as an impactful player, whether he was with the Bulls or the Sixers. But here in this stretch of games in the postseason, and even late in the regular season, this guy he doesn't do anything wrong. I mean, he's dynamite with his moves at the offensive end. Like you said, gets to the stripe an inordinate number of times.
Which is the thing that surprises me, honestly, because while he's obviously hugely popular down here, I don't know that nationally Jimmy Butler is recognized on that superstar level, but he's been given that superstar level of respect by the refs, which you usually don't see that combination. Generally speaking, in the NBA, only superstars, get to shoot 20 free throws, and Butler's been doing it pretty frequently during the last. He's having a Tyler Hansbrough in college type of run through the NBA playoffs, and it's been great for the Miami Heat. But again, is that a long-term solution for this playoff run? I don't think it is.
No, if the other guys are going to be as lame as they've been, including Lubie's favorite Bam Adebayo, who he likes to point fingers at. I mean, you have to be a contributor on offense, and. The Celtics were not the same team in game one because they were missing the defensive player of the year who ends up scoring 20 points and grabbing 10 boards.
Did Marcus Smart actually win the defensive player of the year?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just put up a bunch of guys that really weren't good on defense.
He's a joke.
Bridges isn't
He's not really that good defensively. Sorry.
Wait a minute. I mean,
this whole crap about he can defend.
You have to put a qualifier on here that he's from Boston. So
no, I don't.
Well,
again. That there's this whole myth with Marcus Smart that Marcus Smart can defend big wings and even fours on occasion, and he just doesn't. He defends twos, and he's very good at on-ball ones and twos.
Yes,
but he's not really that great at anything else. I mean, again, nobody really loves Draymond Green, but Draymond Green could win the Defensive Player of the Year every year if Marcus Smart is the competition. And I realize he's got that whole heart of the team thing going with Boston, which is usually an excuse they say for guys who are gigantic bricklayers, which Marcus Smart absolutely is up until the second half last night, mysteriously. And then he turned into Larry Bird somehow in the middle of the third quarter.
Yeah.
Including the hitting from behind the backboard shot, which I honestly, if I were Spoelstra, I would have probably just put the bums in at that point. When that shot went in,
yes,
because the Heat had gone a little mini run to cut it to 18 or 20 when it was 30, and then Marcus Smart hits that Larry Bird shot from behind the backboard, I would have just quit at that point, honestly. I'd be like, screw it, let's take a forfeit.
Holy Hubie Brown, man. The professor channeling his inner Hubie here on the show. All right. Are you going to do some USFL games? How'd you make out last week?
We are, but I have a couple of questions because I made the mistake of listening to the show earlier before I came on, and it always leaves me baffled. Number one, there will be no big board of Tim Tebow. Okay.
I was thinking during my walk of life, I said, you know what? The professor could slaughter this topic.
When the Supreme Court of the United States starts not only listening to Tim Tebow, but starts making national laws based on Tim Tebow's view.
Yes.
Fuck Tim Tebow. I don't want to hear anything more about him. I'm not going to talk about the guy. And you've got Samuel Alito quoting Tim Tebow in a goddamn landmark Supreme Court decision. I don't want to hear any more about Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow's had way too much influence on our goddamn culture.
Yes, I'm with you 1,000%.
Number 2, what kind of bougie-ass tennis club did you join that you're playing on clay courts in South Florida?
Yeah, always plays on clay. Always.
Really? You don't play
Clay's the way to
hardcourt?
go, yeah.
Always.
They have
hardcourts
clay, or like, are we talking red clay, Roland Garros?
No, there's a standard clay court that's pretty much common in almost every public facility here.
Okay, I'm picturing you like Tomas Mooster out there in the knee brace.
Well, that's why you want to be on the clay.
Brilliant.
No, you want to be on the clay because, look, at 71, my knees have taken more than their share of beatings over the years. We used to play everything on cement when I was growing up as a kid. And, no, it's a very, very forgiving surface. And it's a lot of fun to play on because you can track down a lot of balls that you may not get to on the hard courts. Although hard court surfaces are changing also, so that they're a little bit slower than they used to be. We have a couple right here in my house, but I much prefer playing on the clay to any, and almost anybody would tell you the same thing, I think.
I thought you had joined some ultra expensive tennis club.
No, Pompano Municipal Park. Beautiful park.
Pompano Beach somehow.
All that money that the foundry's sending in taxes is funneling, its way into my tennis.
It's good. Honestly, it's as good as building more marinas and such.
Yeah.
It's that or the fishing tournaments, so I'm okay with it. Number 2, did I really hear Lubie say Florida State is a top 20 college now? Is that
public school? Yeah, they're a top 20.
Is that top 20 public school in Florida?
No. They're
Are public school rankings now based heavily on women's softball? Like, you used to be a top 20 football school.
But that's softball.
Florida State is a top 20 public university in academics.
Public school, yeah. Florida's top 5. They have been like 4 times.
Florida's not top 5. Florida wouldn't be top 5 in the state of California. What are you talking about?
Look at public schools. Remember, public schools, they throw a lot of schools in there.
It's right up there with Berkeley, Professor. What are you talking about?
Yeah, public schools. Remember,
Berkeley, Michigan, UNC, Virginia. Those are 4 right off the top of my head. They have to be ahead of Florida.
Yeah.
UCLA's got to be ahead of Florida. Anyway, wow.
All right.
Something has happened, obviously, because when I was coming out of school, like, Florida State begged me to come there, and I was not the most qualified student in the history of humanity, to say the least. So I don't know what's going on. If Florida State is a top 20 public schools, a lot of other schools have gone significantly downhill.
Yep. Yeah.
October 8th, do they exchange blows at the center of the field? Jimbo and old Nick? After this, war of words there. Jimbo was not happy. He was not willing to accept Nick's lame apology, which came after the fact and drew no attention anywhere around the world. I
heard someone make a very interesting comment about this, and I'll get into that in a second. But number 1, everything Nick Saban said is true. Like, I don't know why anybody's mad about it. I'm sorry, Jimbo. Yes, you may not have directly been the bag man and gone and delivered, sacks full of cash to these players, but yes, your school paid for this recruiting class to come. Every school is now in one way or another paying for these recruiting classes. It's no secret why Travis Hunter went to play for Deion. It's got nothing to do with, loyalty to Deion as a coach or any of the other. Not. It's because the Barstool guys gave him $3 million. I mean,
it's well known.
Yeah.
I don't like people are acting like Nick Saban let the cat out of the bag with all of this. These have been public stories for months and months and months. I mean, I get that nobody likes Nick Saban, so we all want to think everything he says is coming out of the mouth of a scumbag and a liar. In this particular case, I don't know why anybody's mad at him. I did see an interesting comparison, and it was much like the old Soviet bloc did after the fall of the Berlin Wall. College sports and college football and basketball in particular have gone from straight up communism to straight up capitalism, and they did it over the course of about 3 days.
Yeah.
And what we saw when all those Eastern Bloc countries followed was that the criminals made all the money. It became a kleptocracy.
Yep.
And all the stooges who were friends of Putin and all these other became billionaires and some of the world's most powerful industrialists on the planet. I think we're seeing some of that in college football, in that the guys who were the biggest cheats and scumbags, they were prepared for this.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that about Jimbo Fisher necessarily. I'm not saying about the coaches, but I'm talking about the support behind these programs.
Yeah.
Texas A&M has known to be, let's say, very aggressive in their recruiting benefits.
It's that oil money, my friend.
The years.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's the oil money.
Agriculture and mining, my friend.
So that Texas A&M continues to be very aggressive should be a surprise to no one. Again, in a lot of ways, it's very similar to the instant transition we saw when communism collapsed. And yes, it's tough to find social balance in a system that just became instantly capitalist. We're seeing the same with college football, and it shouldn't surprise anybody.
All right, we have to get to the big board, and I don't know if you want to run through a couple of quick USFL picks, and then we'll turn the cameras around on the big board for this week, which will not feature anything to do with Tim Tebow. So what do you have for us, Professor?
We'll take Birmingham -6. Why? Because they're playing the Michigan Panthers.
There you go.
And
what's his name?
Shea Patterson sucks.
The Shea Patterson syndrome. Yes,
it's winning.
We've been winning every week with it, so we're going to keep it up. And then the other game we'll be interested in is New Orleans is playing Pittsburgh. New Orleans, one of the better offensive teams in the league. They had a little bit of trouble last week. Pittsburgh is pathetic. So we'll lay over a touchdown here. Go a little bit on the wire and say New Orleans -8. So our two picks, Birmingham -6 and New Orleans -8. We're chalking it up in the USFL this week.
All right, nice little chalk parlay, although you would not recommend ruining your chances of winning money by connecting them together so that you have to win both games under any circumstances to get through the week. All right, the big board for this week. The Professor, ladies and gentlemen, one of the hit segments on any show, streaming over the air or otherwise.
Be really obvious, but all of a sudden you wanted to go with Tim Tebow for some reason.
I just thought you could tee up a little Tim Tebow stuff. It didn't necessarily all have to do all five with the speech.
Tim Tebow stuff, but I'm not going to because Tim Tebow has way too much influence on our culture already.
Yes.
I'm honestly a little shocked that Tim Tebow himself has not been nominated for the Supreme Court. I guess we'll see if DeSantis ever ends up president. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen, actually.
Oh, no, he'll be the vice president. He'll be on the ticket. They'll cash in on his name and likeness and pay him handsomely for it with, some administrative job at a business in another country, much like maybe Hunter Biden might have benefited from the position. All right, turn it around here, Professor.
Anyway, what's going on with South Florida this week? I think we should probably have known all along who the big board was going to be about this week.
And of course, Bobby Orr in there at number 3. There you go.
Of course, we know that all the Boston teams have become successful mostly because of cheating over the last 20 years or so.
Yeah.
But there was one Boston franchise that was always successful in the early days, and sort of the foundation of why the city of Boston is a trash sports city full of trash people, and that's the Boston Celtics, of course, who happen to be playing the Miami Heat. So it's time to dedicate it to the big board of the original Boston sports trash.
Here we go.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're ready.
Yeah.
Number 5, Danny Ainge.
Never trust Mormons.
Ainge, I think everybody, even the Boston fans, are 100% in on Ainge. That's a good start.
Why would you place faith in any man who wants to be married more than once to multiple women? Who the hell wants multiple wives? Why would you trust those people? If you want more than one wife, why? Because, you never want to watch what you want to watch on TV?
Yeah.
Because you always want extra errands? What the hell kind of man wants it? I don't know what the bigamy scam is. Probably some sort of tax cheat thing, but obviously there's something wrong with these people.
Yes.
Never trust Mormons. Matter of fact, you probably shouldn't trust people who won't drink caffeine to begin with, because who doesn't like a Coke or a cup of coffee? I mean, really. I get it when you get like 100 years old and your body can't really handle it anymore. But who, when they're like 25, is it like, I might like a cup of coffee when I wake up in the morning?
Sure.
Mormons, totally untrustworthy people. And Danny Ainge, let's remember, as a player, he was one of the biggest scumbags in the league.
Yes.
Tree Rollins almost bit his finger off, and everybody was like, Tree Rollins was right to do that. One of the greatest moments in sports history was Sedale Threatt, as pictured here, just bopping Danny Ainge in his big stupid nose. And then, as if his playing career wasn't bad enough, what does he do? He goes on, becomes Boston's general manager, and cheats his way to a title there. For people who don't remember, got Kevin McHale to give him Kevin Garnett for a big pile of crap after Kevin McHale had for 5 years refused every trade. I think the Lakers offered literally the entire roster except for Kobe and Shaq and 9 first-round draft picks for Kevin Garnett. And Kevin McHale was like, no, I'm holding out for the Al Jefferson poo-poo platter. That was the most crooked trade in the history of the NBA. Maybe one of the most crooked trades in the history of sports.
Never trust Mormons.
Exactly.
Great start, Professor. Great start.
That's number 5. Number 4, directly related, big board of Boston sports, Celtics sports trash. Number 4, fake tough guy, Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
Fake tough guy.
Won an MVP award you didn't deserve. Built your whole reputation on this, I'm ultra intense, I'm the ultimate competitor. And then in your glory year, when you won a title you shouldn't have won because of some bogus refereeing in a first-round playoff series, when Zaza Pachulia called you out, you went and hid behind a referee because you were scared to death to fight Zaza
Pachulia.
He would have run from Zsa Zsa Gabor. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you big bald-headed sissy.
Sissy. Nice.
Very good, my friend.
You're lucky you didn't face the Heat that year because Udonis Haslem would have literally broken you and eaten you on the court. You're running away from Zaza Pachulia. You ran away and hid for. Don't give me this intensity crap. You are the fakest tough guy in the history of the league, Kevin Garnett. Pure garbage. You didn't deserve the MVP award. You averaged like 19 points a game and you won the MVP award. What the hell was that? What a bunch of garbage. Yeah. And then you're like this dynasty. Your dynasty lasted 1 year. You lost the finals the next year, and you never got even close to back again. And you know what? I'm glad Dwayne Wade intentionally broke Rajon Rondo's arm and ended you guys.
Made his way into an Adam Sandler movie, which normally would be a disgrace, but this one received some critical acclaim for some bizarre reason.
Didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
Honestly, that movie was not good. I don't know why everybody loves that movie so much.
Because it was different, than the usual Pauly Shore type of trash we were accustomed to. From Adam
those
Sandler.
are funny. The Uncut Gem movie wasn't funny at all, and it wasn't interesting. Yeah, honestly, Kevin Garnett wasn't particularly good in it.
No, he wasn't.
No, he was
LeBron
weak.
was much better in that crappy Amy Schumer movie than you were in that Adam Sandler movie. And nobody
Gary
was
Stevens is George Wolfe in Seabiscuit. Brilliant performance by comparison. He was, like
100%.
Olivier. Yeah.
Lawrence Taylor was better than Any Given Sunday, and I'm pretty sure Lawrence Taylor was actively smoking crack when he did that movie.
Exactly.
No doubt. All right, that's number 4, fake tough guy, Kevin Garnett.
You're going to be surprised how low this one. You were probably going to figure out this one much higher, but number 3 on the list of Celtics, the original Boston sports trash, the entire fan base as personified by Ben Affleck.
Wow.
I can't imagine what's ahead of that in your estimation.
Exactly. How's Affleck 3?
Yeah, Affleck 3. It's one of
I mean,
your
really,
chief targets.
You people stand up the whole game. Why the hell do you do that? Sit down, relax, enjoy yourselves. Honestly, and you're this whole fake, like, we're the Celtics, we're a dynasty, we're this. You haven't been relevant in like 35 years.
Yeah.
Not bigger
Casey
picture
Jones was our
relevancy.
last big star.
You had like 1 or 2 years again after Ainge pulled off that BS trade. Those are the only times in the last 35 years that basically Len Bias killed your franchise when he died. Sorry, Celtics
it's a bit
fans.
morbid, yeah.
That's just a stone cold fact. So this whole thing about how historic you were you know what you are? You're the Yale football of the NBA. You had a bunch of titles that nobody alive can remember way back when, and you've been living off that. I mean, you're worse than the 72 Dolphins. Why? Because 72 is more recent than any time the Celtics were bigger picture dynasty.
They were in the 80s. What are you talking about?
I don't
They
wanna
were
mention
second
Bill
place for the
Russell,
Lakers in the 80s. If
They won 3
you're
titles,
second in the league to another franchise, you're not a dynasty. You're the dynasty's rival.
Did Duke really throw that lobster at you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. That was
when we
fun.
were dining in Las Vegas, and you mentioned that Bill Russell was a stiff.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, Defo, because number 2 is
Oh,
Bill
Russell.
the
Russell?
most overrated player in the
Oh,
history of
God.
basketball.
Most overrated ever.
Very likely the most overrated athlete in the history of sports.
Sports.
We're going to throw out a few
Sports.
facts here because Boston fans love to talk about it. By the way, looking at him getting ready to shoot that hook shot here, you can pretty much guarantee that's a brick because he was a totally incompetent offensive player.
Brick.
Guarantee it's a brick.
At a time where the league shooting percentage average for most of his career was somewhere around 47%, Bill Russell was a 44% shooter, despite the fact he was one of only 5 players in the league who was 6'8" or taller. In other words, he was playing guys notably shorter than him every night, only got the ball in optimum situations, and still shot 44% for his career. Wilt, one year, just for the record, averaged 36 points a game while shooting 68% of the field from the field. The fact that Wilt versus Bill Russell is even a debate is the biggest joke in the history of sports. Everybody's like, oh, Russell, winner guy. Yeah, because he played with 7 Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Russell was about defense and rebounding. Bill Russell, very impressive rebounder, averaged 25 points a rebound, 25.6 rebounds a game for his career. Wilt averaged 22.
Yeah.
Russell
Had no help.
averaged 18.6 points per game as a career high, average in the mid 15s for his career. Wilt averaged 34.
He was not a great offensive player.
Was a
I would give you that.
54%. And what you're thinking is, well, that's because Wilt was a black hole. He never shared the ball. Wilt had a higher career assist rate than Bill Russell did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
and the thing that everybody
he did
gives
certain things that were revolutionary, though. So you have to give him credit for that. The rebounding and the outlet pass, still a stroke
Yeah,
of
because
genius.
nobody had ever thrown an outlet pass before Bill Russell.
Not like he did, though. I mean, I guess you had what?
Not like he did what with his? What did he bounce the ball off his forehead? What the hell?
No, he picked it up like it was
Not
a
like he
softball
did.
and fired it down the court there to
I love
Hondo, a
this
streaking
for
Hondo
Russell.
Havlicek or Sam
Oh,
Jones.
yeah, nobody ever threw an outlet pass before Bill Russell. He invented it.
Wes Unseld.
It's a joke. The fact that people consider him one of the greatest, the fact that people put him in Wilt's league is a complete travesty. I've said it before. I will say it again. He would not, given the development of the NBA in 2022, he would not be a starting player in the current NBA.
Wow.
He was that incompetent offensively.
For Russell's classic.
It's number 2. I mean,
That's
you're gonna
what's one.
Right? And we thought
you're gonna run Hondo off the board here at number 1. Hondo
this
Havlicek.
is really specific because honestly, Affleck 3, Bill Russell 2. What could possibly be number 1? It's a very specific combination of events that had to happen, and it did.
Yeah.
Because number 1, the worst possible combination of a human being
Tatum.
ever is Jason Tatum, a rat-faced Duke star who becomes a Boston Celtics star, who the media constantly overrates and can't get off his Johnson. And because of that, won't investigate what I think is something that really needs to be looked into, and that is, did he shave points in exhibition games against Australia and Ghana when he was a member of Team USA last summer? We have never lost to those schools, to those teams in the history of Olympic basketball until Jason Tatum was on the team. And I think that needs to be looked at closely. What happened with the gambling lines in those games? Because I was thinking about that stupid intro you love to play. The one thing that might be 100-1 on the money line was Namibia beating you at Team USA in basketball. Whatever stupid ass country it was that we lost.
Nigeria. They lost to Nigeria in Achua.
Yeah. Again, just saying. Obviously, this is a person of low moral fiber, having gone to Duke and playing for Boston. Needs to be talked about, needs to be looked at.
Point shaving.
Was there some point shaving involved?
An Olympic
game. We never lost to them before. Jason Tatum shows up. All of a sudden, we can't beat the Central African All-Stars.
The Mormons to point shaving.
We lost to a team from a country that doesn't have an indoor basketball court.
Professor. On fire. The big board of the original Boston
Sports
Sports.
trash.
Yeah,
Sports trash.
Brilliant as always. I mean, even though we have to issue numerous disclaimers here, especially in the direction of one lovely and talented Leslie Visser on that Russell thing. I mean, that really,
Hey, look,
that almost triggered a food fight.
Yes, it did. It was the best.
The Heat are playing the Celtics. It was going to get ugly. It was inevitable.
Unbelievable.
Particularly after last night. There are some things I can live with. Marcus Smart randomly dropping 27 points is not one of them.
Had a triple-double. Marcus Smart.
All right. Well, all the best to you, Professor. Good luck on your plays in the USFL. And of course, another brilliant performance here on the show. And have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again next week, my friend.
You have a good one, Dave.
Thanks.
Very good, Professor.
That was great.
He had me at Danny Ainge.
That was great.
Mormons can't be trusted. I mean, that's a sports concept that you won't necessarily find anywhere else.
I can 100% think
you
will
think
find
at
that nowhere else.
CBS, as they go down the log of things they want to discuss, they go, you know what? Mormons can't be trusted.
It is true. Like,
let's go do a show, a nice 3-man show. Yes.
Slandering mistress is one thing, but multiple wives, like I never.
Who would want multiple wives? That's exactly the point.
By one wife, like who wants more than one wife? Like,
especially at the same time. I mean, it's one thing to have multiple wives, like I have had. At different times at least.
There's still
although the pattern is similar, Lubie. The pattern is similar.
Yes, from whatever.
Yeah. The word Meshuggah must apply to anybody that wants to subject themselves to multiple wives at the same time. As if this was a good thing. Yeah, he's absolutely right. You especially, Mr. Svengali. I mean, you would never get to see a sporting event. You would have no idea what you were talking about on a show, which people suspect anyway. But, you were a little resigned yesterday, Lubie. Resigned to the obvious.
I had no idea. I never thought that, but the Celtics were going to win that game. I didn't want to pick them, but I said that's why I wasn't going to make a pick. They can't get down 0-2. Fine, so they were going to win. The fact that Smart had almost a triple-double, Grant Williams had almost 20 points, Brown and Tatum did their thing, and outside of Butler, no one did anything for the Heat. That I would never have predicted.
The complete reversal of form, kind of interesting for the Miami Heat so far in the playoffs. I mean, they win those first two against Philadelphia, albeit without Embiid in there. But even with Embiid in there, you figure, well, this is a trend that's more likely to continue than to completely reverse. And then in the last couple of games, very dominant.
Back up again, yep.
Picked that same pace up again in game one against the Celtics in the third quarter. But if you looked at that game, I don't know. It's kind of a meaningless thing because they lost the game, by a significant margin.
Yeah.
But if you took out that third quarter, it's like a Dave Wannstedt explanation. No, who used to do that? Tom Olivadotti, Dolphins defensive coordinator.
3 runs.
Yeah, and he would come out and say, you know what? I tell you what, if that guy didn't run for 86 yards 2 different times in the ballgame, statistically, we held him to an average of 3.3, which is below the league average. So, yeah, but that balloons up exponentially because of the fact that you allowed 160 yards on 2 runs. Nice guy, Tom Olivadotti. I had great respect for him. He was a good-looking cat, too, man. Always very gracious.
He's a horrible defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I mean, if you took away the 200 I lost on the third race, what? I didn't have a bad day at the track. Right, even though the rest of the races only amounted to maybe $60 in cash tickets, you're still a loser, and that's the thing. But analysts were looking at this third quarter, which was started with a 22-2 run by the Miami Heat, and just an awful collapse by the Celtics, who then sort of gathered themselves a little bit at least.
At least they did something in the fourth.
Yeah, and the totals of the other 3 quarters were very much in favor. They clearly won like the rest of the game, except for that third quarter, which was enough to throw them into a big sea of red ink when it came to the scoreboard. Anyway, it was good stuff. For the professor coming up at that Mormon angle, I think
he's right.
He could have flip flopped any of those, right? I was worried that the Bill Russell thing would probably take like an hour to get all the venom out he has about Russell.
He hates Russell. Okay, Russell. The comparison of Russell to Wilt is weirdly skewed because they don't take into account that Wilt had no Hall of Famers most of his career, and Russell had 5. Like, that is a little weird, and the fact that they make it this equal thing. Which
the thing about Russell, though, that was unique in a way was that, and this was true of like Walt Bellamy, but he played Wilt very tough.
Yeah, he did, and that was why they did that comparison, because together Russell played him well. But he had a lot of help, so it was easy. He didn't have to worry about covering it. Wilt had to cover everyone. Wilt had no one on his team when he was.
No, and Wilt was, just an unbelievable offensive force, probably the best in basketball history, because he virtually was unstoppable. And it wasn't just everything he did under the basket, because he had that little fadeaway bank shot that he would hit from about 12 to 15 feet out, and he was very efficient at hitting that, as suggested by the professor, with the really high shooting percentage. A lot of that was dunking under the basket, but he was a big dipper. I grew up first following basketball in that era, so I saw a lot of Russell, Wilt, Walt Bellamy, and they were the big three centers around at the time. Bellamy wasn't very good against anybody but Wilt and Russell. Wilt and Russell, strangely enough, and the one guy that always it's kind of like Rodman on Zoe, right? Where Bill Russell, for some reason, was able to be a force against Wilt Chamberlain, even though Wilt had about 4 or 5 inches in size on him. So, but no, I'm an admirer of what Russell did. He was with a great team. Also, I don't think anybody could overlook that. And I don't know that I would contend necessarily that he couldn't have started a single NBA game.
I think Russell's better than Ken gives him credit. I think the times have changed. Russell would have changed too. We don't know what he would have done offensively. He didn't have to. Again, he had 4 All-Stars around him, so he didn't need to score.
But I felt this as a kid because, you know me, my shooting percentage thing, I like to see a guy around 50%, even if he's an outside chucker.
Yep.
I think if you're going to hoist them, believe that they're going to go in. And, if you can't shoot any better than, 38%, like my man Butch Comives, then don't keep chucking. But Russell was not efficient at all. He had a little short face-to-basket jumper, and he had the hook shot from either side. And, but he was not, a tremendous offensive player. I didn't think so as a kid growing up.
Average at best.
Yeah. I mean, great at triggering that fast break, though, which was really the signature of what those Celtic teams were all about. And I was a big Hondo Havlicek fan, so it's hard to listen to the complete trashing of Bill Russell by the professor. Plus, I don't know if Leslie Visser will ever speak to us again for allowing that segment on the air. All right, Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, coming up. He whiffed.
He did.
Strike right on the corner there, man. He'd be sitting there in Hedge City. You know he likes to hedge off.
Yeah, that's fine. It would be a smart hedge.
Right, you go up 2-0, you get the 2 road victories that you need, and you're now in a position to see your Tampa Bay Lightning sweep the series, probably at, I would think, fairly significant odds against that taking place. I don't know what they were. I didn't get a chance to really see that, but...
when was the last time a team won in less than 5? It's not like a basketball where 3 seconds is forever, and you can make a pass and a dunk and a dipsy. In hockey, under a minute is like, under 5 seconds.
Yeah, you can't allow that guy to come to
when the other team had possession. There was 3 Panthers around the puck.
Yeah.
3 Panthers around the puck, and Bobrovsky actually played well for once.
Yeah.
And they're going to, that doesn't happen. To me, if I had that bet, I'd be doing a jig right now. If they score with under 4 seconds, are you kidding me? You want to talk about signs of gods of gambling. That's like
2 words, my friend. Keep these in mind. Barry Trotz.
I told you 3 days ago.
All right, we'll see if Mayo's suicidal about whiffing on this bet here. Because, as soon as he suggested it, he backed off. And I'm thinking, you know what, Mike, you should have done it, man. You just take a shot, right? Maybe you're right. Thinking was only slightly flawed, but sometimes you have to regroup in degeneracy. You really do. And say, okay, I was dead wrong about that horse this time, but next time it's going to be a winner.
Exactly.
And Grant Long, by the way, we should tip our hat to Grant Long, give him a salute because absolutely hit it on the head.
Nailed it.
Holy Hubie Brown. Speaking of Hubie Brown, I mean, he said Heat will win game 1, but definitely the Celtics will win game 2. He told us that on our podcast on the Believe Network, and many people felt that way, although the Heat were favored by slightly more points in that game. Game 2, even with the possibility that you would have Smart. Horford came out of nowhere, didn't he?
Yes.
In this game?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if he was overwhelmingly significant. I seem to recall him sinking a couple of threes, but
he didn't do much.
when we saw him warming up, my son and I are sitting at a bar after the tennis match last night, and which was hardly a match, because even inspired by the Tim Tebow speech, I still managed to get bludgeoned. Unbelievable. Although very competitively bludgeoned. How about that, Lubie? Can I put it that way? Take some satisfaction out of it? Actually, it's all about the camaraderie and the drinking at the end.
There you go.
And a hell of a schwitz. But we're watching, and we're saying, wait a minute, Horford, he was on every list, with an X through him, wasn't he, for this game? So, that made a big difference also. All right, Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo coming up, and we'll see if he's a little bit verklempt about the fact that he didn't make the bet on the Lightning to sweep the Panthers, which now looks like a realistic possibility. Back with Mike Mayo in a moment here on the Defo Show, Degenerate Friday edition. Now that. Time! 34. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
All right, so
Here's
you have
my
the poem. Let's do it.
Roses are red, violets are blue. I got DQ'd from the late double. Sorry, no champagne or caviar for you.
Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, ladies and gentlemen.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
All right. I don't know if he's going to pull one out of a box or something, a giant crow. Are you really, if you were going to eat something on the air, Mike Mayo, we welcome the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo, to our Degenerate Friday edition of the program here on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest and Mike Lubitz. Michael, how are you, my friend? I mean, since last Friday, the last time you're on the show, obviously, certain circumstances went in our favor. And then you, in just an utter fit of bitterness, sent me a text that said the Lightning will now sweep the Panthers. And I thought, you know what? You might be onto something here. Maybe your fakakta thinking about the first round wasn't so far off base. So I guess you didn't pull the trigger on that. And then you immediately started waffling. Oh, no, I didn't mean that.
I want the 10-1, all right, because I thought it was a little bit outlandish.
No, but I mean, what do you think the actual odds on that were? They had to.
I don't know. I was trying to research it. I couldn't find it. I would imagine you would think after those first round series that the prospects of the Panthers getting swept would have to be at least 15-20-1 on some of the bookmakers. I have no idea.
Close to zero, yeah.
But here we are, and so you'll notice I'm wearing my. It's my version of a dunce cap. Because it's backwards baseball cap. I don't know if you saw on the Let's.
I did see that post. I believe though. What if that was a guy like an Uber Eats guy?
No, I don't. He wasn't. He wasn't. It was a place called.
It was just a jerk off, is what you're saying. Yeah.
No, I'm not making judgments. It was just that it was a topic that caused a lot of controversy a few weeks ago on the Let's Eat South Florida Facebook group that I helped run, almost 80,000 strong. Thanks for the plug. But and I was out with Dick Steen up in Delray Beach at this new hot trendy restaurant called.
Oh, you took the picture.
I took the picture.
Okay.
It happened in front of my face, and after the the group went in a tizzy a few weeks ago about somebody complaining about it at Houston's, where they supposedly
This is a
have
guy coming
policy.
into a restaurant with a baseball cap
A
on, period,
backwards-
and then backwards like he was Ken Griffey Jr. or something.
a backwards baseball cap, a bro, what some people would label a douchebag bro, but it doesn't necessarily bother me, and I wasn't being judgmental. I just saw it in front of my face. I thought it was amusing. The guy's face wasn't there. You couldn't ID him, so I snapped the quick picture.
Yeah,
and I posted it on the group yesterday, and people went into a tizzy. There's 33,000 views. There's 500 comments.
Really?
They're bashing me for violating the guy's privacy.
Oh, really?
And why are you judging him? What does it matter to you? I was like, I didn't judge anything. I had a great meal.
Just
It
put a
didn't
picture.
bother me.
Yeah.
I just snapped the picture and said, hey, here it is, guys. You guys were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. Here's some more chum. I just threw some chum in the waters, like in Sharknado or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, that people are just like diving in.
They want to kill the
Anyway.
messenger. That's all
Yeah,
I
that's
say.
everything.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I was just there to instigate, to be an agent provocateur.
2 minutes
And-
for instigating. Yes.
And the same thing with these bets. Look, congratulations, guys. I owe you a dinner. We'll do it sometime.
It's okay.
Soon.
We couldn't have. This was one we couldn't stand losing. That was the problem.
I wouldn't do that again. I didn't
because
trust
of what was involved here
Wow,
and
it's
the
pride.
2 months of trash talking back and forth.
And my original inclination after seeing Vasilevsky,
I'm not even hungry after that. I'm so happy.
No, but after seeing everything that unfolded, like Tampa is obviously, they're going for a three-peat.
They're excellent. Yeah.
They've got championship experience. They're veteran savvy. They knew how to reserve something in the tank and reserve some goals. And I said in the heat of the moment, I said, oh, they're going to get swept. The Panthers are going to get swept by this team. And I didn't really think it was possible. And then for a moment, I bought the false hope. I wanted to be a good civic cheerleader. I wanted to say, you know what? Yay! They finally broke through. They snapped the 26-year drought. They won a playoff series. Now they're going to go all the way. They look like they have their confidence back. And this is what we've got. And like you said, this is the dunce cap because I'm a fucking schmuck, because I should have made. And it's like you said, Defo, it's the bets that you don't make that haunt you. Because like you said, if I bet, let's say if I could have shopped around and got the 10-1, 20-1 on the sweep, and then I hedge off and bet on a Panthers win the next couple of games, that's
you had it in the bag.
I had it in the bag, and
all you had to do was get what the result that you got, which was, and you would have been leaping like Tom Cruise on the couch on the Oprah show when he was saying that he was in love with Katie Holmes. You would have been leaping off the couch there and screaming, yeah, because you would have put yourself in a semi-locked position.
And you see what happens when you go against type? I mean, I've made my brand on being the cynical, just
you went against yourself.
And then all of a sudden, I turn into like the cheerleader optimist. Yay, Panthers, we're going to go all the way. And look what I get. I get bitten.
You should eat a rat on the show. Just eat a rat right here.
And can I just
live
go
rat?
Can I go off for a second? Yeah, I will. I'll eat rat. I'll eat crow, whatever you want. But,
what you're eating is funds because you would have been in such a nice position. And how big would Game 3 have been? Because that becomes the one that obviously at home, the Lightning in front of their home crowd, are they going to lay an egg out there? I don't think so.
I think they're going to come in jazzed up and just chew them up for breakfast.
Instead, you may as well be hit by a bolt of lightning here and take the after effects because you got burned by your own thinking.
The Panthers played this pretty much really good game last night, and Bobrovsky finally comes through and makes some big stops, and then 3.8 seconds, and the guy's going that back. He's going to check the guy into the boards behind the net instead of taking. I mean,
clean the puck.
That was an abomination. I mean, 3.8 seconds, and then let's not lose sight of the fact that the Panthers' power play is like 2022 playoffs.
0 for 25.
0 for 25. I mean, what kind of odds could have you gotten on that in going into the playoffs? That the Panthers, who scored the most power play goals or fifth best power play?
Oh, they were third in power play goals, 65.
Third, okay. And then they would go 0 for their first 25.
Impossible. Impossible.
Do you realize that the Panthers could have assembled a power play line right now of Mike Bossy, Guy Lafleur and Gordie Howe in their current conditions.
Go a
and
little
scored
Bobby
as many-
Hull at the point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bobby Hull is still alive. These other three guys are dead.
Oh,
Stiff.
dead guys. Okay. Yeah.
The dead guys. The
Oh, you
dead
threw
guys
Bossy
would
in
have
there because he
scored.
just checked out. I mean, that's too
Yes,
recent. The body's not even cold yet.
This
They
is
would've gotten
the
a goal.
reality. Bossy, Lafleur, and Gordie Howe in their current states
Is Yvonne
would
Cornway
have
alive?
scored as many goals as the Panther power play has this playoffs. That's mind blowing. I mean, it's just
no, that is unbelievable.
That's a joke.
It's like missing, I mean, not quite the same as it'd be the equivalent of missing like 100 straight free throws or something.
That's
A
insane.
basketball team.
they deserve
unreal.
to get bounced out of play. I mean, get rid of this team. I don't know where they can move to.
Get them out of the town.
Doug
Loser leaves
Sifu-
town.
There's a reason why Doug Sifu's name ends with
Well,
F
if you stretch out, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought you were going to say sort of stretches out to fool. But he's no fool when it comes to making money and hanging out with the right guy. But the fact that he attacked you, you should have unloaded, Mike Mayo. I thought, I thought about it myself, and so I'm also in the same category because I said, but it didn't hit me until after game one that Mayo was onto this thing the whole time. The whole time, he just slightly flawed thinking. But as a gambler, you have to kind of, like they always ask coaches to do at halftime, you have to make adjustments.
Yep.
And the adjustment
But
was
meanwhile,
that they were going to really embarrass themselves in this series.
Meanwhile, aren't you so happy that you did not get offered Brett Tesler's tickets? That you didn't have to pay face value to go to that first game, because you would have been pretty ticked off to have to pay to sit through that. What was it? 4-1, 5-1.
4-1 was the final. It was a very tight game until the third period when the Panthers, unfortunately, were just flat as a Parisian one-way model and couldn't do anything. And the Lightning kind of turned it on. Tesler did suggest, though, during that conversation we had about his tickets and whether or not he was going to make them available to us at no charge. He did say, and this could be true. I don't usually buy this argument, Mike. You were writing sports for many, many years, and you'd hear this as a common theme. Well, and especially in basketball, hockey, where everybody makes the postseason, they didn't care about the regular season so much. They knew they were going to be okay. And maybe that was somewhat true of the Lightning, where, they have flipped the switch. Toronto is no easy out. It took them 7 games to get out of that one. And these games have been, contentious, but nonetheless, they always seem to come through with the experience. And
this Lightning team is, even though it doesn't have like a superstar of a LeBron James stature, but it's like the LeBron teams of the early 2010s of the Heat, where they just coasted in the regular season. They took stretches off, and then when it comes playoff time, that's the reality. The Panthers, on the other hand, and I was absolutely dead right about this, and you guys were
that's why
me last.
We knew you were onto something.
Last month, when I'm saying, they're winning too many games, they're scoring too many goals, you got to save some for when it counts. You're like, you're just like, no. They really did expend a lot of energy and got this false sense of confidence and security because they just steamrolled over everybody in April when it didn't count. And again, they were scoring so many goals and 7 goals, 8 goals, making 5-goal comebacks, all this. And now it's meaningless. It's just meaningless.
And they can't get out of their own way. It's pretty amazing. All right. It was Black Thursday around South Florida on the sports scene.
And the other thing is, to get into the Heat, it was just a ridiculous game. And, I thought Spoelstra's, philosophy is never let the other guy's best player beat you. But now I think we should add another truism to sport, is never let the guy with green hair beat you. How embarrassing is that?
Rodman, would have qualified.
So it was just a dud of a game, and it was baffling. And I don't know, Defo, I texted this to you guys last night. Like, this was the worst night in South Florida sports since when? Can anybody think of where you have the Panthers, who are almost in a must-win pivotal game in order to make a series of this?
Since we drafted Justice Winslow, I'll go with over Devin Booker. No, I don't know. I mean, it was a disaster. Come on. I mean, such great expectations. I was thinking, what were the odds that both teams would lose? And, I had a hunch that the Panthers were going down in this game last night. I was kind of happy when they looked like they were in a pretty good position to win the game. And then that atrocity occurs with 4 seconds to go. And when I was watching the early portion of the Heat game, they looked great. They were up like 10 points in the first few minutes.
Right.
And you thought, okay, game on, dude. I mean, in honor of the racehorse by the same name. And, they'll probably be up 2-0, and they'll be all on Boston to try and defend their home court.
And I was all prepared today to rag on you. Like, how could you go to Italy next week when we're going to have two teams going deep in the playoffs and you're going to miss all these games? And you know
I'll look
what?
on the scores on my cell phone.
And now you're going to be on the plane. I bet the Panthers are already going to be gone, and the Heat might be on their way like the next day after you get on the plane when you arrive in Venice. They're going to be sick. They're going to be sinking quicker than Venice if they don't turn things around. Show a little more.
We'll see. You know what? We've seen a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde out of a lot of teams in the postseason. We saw Boston lose a hideous Game 5 to the Milwaukee Bucks on their home court, and then come back and steamroll the Bucks the next couple of games. We saw the Heat lose in hideous fashion to the Sixers.
I know
2
it's
games
only,
on their own. Yeah,
it's a long series, but you thought the prospect of like losing, that bet to me and getting ragged on for a year is bad. Can you imagine how bad it's going to be every time we go to even keel if the Celtics win?
Oh God.
Deborah,
wow.
rag on us. I told you the Celtics were going to pull it out, because she was saying the other night, even if they, the other day when we came in there on Wednesday for the lunch,
she was very confident.
Even though the Celtics were down 0-1, she goes, the Celtics are coming back. They're going to win it all, hon. I'm telling you. And she might be right. So
I think she had Mickey Ward in that first Gotti fight also. She was all over that.
And speaking of Boston, and I got to take issue with the professor. I love him, love the big board, blah, blah, blah. But he's absolutely dead wrong. I mean, I know you don't like the movie either. I thought Uncut Gems was good. I thought Kevin Garnett's teeth were outstanding.
The teeth were great. Even my dentist, Dr. Michael Noodleberg, said, I can give you 2 sets of teeth. You can either have Garnett from that movie or Secretariat. Which one do you want?
Those grills look like the same. They matched Oscar. I thought he was going to get an Oscar for that. And number 3, the ending was hilarious, Defo. That was a funny ending. It was great. I love that movie.
I think it was a joke. What are you talking about? It was horrible.
You just don't get dark humor.
Look, I couldn't be, any more of a degenerate, and I love any attempt at a gambling movie. But for all of the acclaim that it received, from people like you that are in the criticizing business, I
like it,
and all of the movie critics. Holy Rich Reed, everybody seemed to love this thing. I thought it was just an upgrade, possibly in terms of an attempt on Adam Sandler's part to make a movie that didn't make him look like Pauly Shore. I really believe that.
That was it. But I just thought it was a lesson to all gamblers. Even when you think you're riding the biggest high, it could all just come crashing down.
Oh, of course. We all know that.
Come on. Knows that. That's what it was.
That's a message. That's like the Tebow speech there. It's as shallow as that.
Speaking of Tebow and college football, what do you think this whole Saban and Jim Fisher thing? Isn't this great?
I love it, yeah. I actually was reading, and the other day I was reading the Brent Musburger Bury America campaign stuff that was in the New York Post, and I didn't realize this. I guess now in back-to-back weeks, is that possible? Texas A&M faces
bankrupt again.
Yeah, the University of Miami, which this guy was making a case that Miami will win that game, and then do they go right again the next week against Alabama? Is that possible after the 2 cupcakes? Texas A&M, because I think October 8th, what was the date I saw? I was right in that area that Texas A&M and Alabama meet, and that ought to be fun because Jimbo, he doesn't like to be insulted by St. Nick. And I would imagine most people think that Nick Saban is a complete prick and asshole, but he is just deified by the media. And the professor, far be it from the professor to defend Nick Saban, but he actually said, you know what is he saying that isn't true?
Well, that's true. But you know what? I don't even pay attention to the college football schedule or anything of that nonsense because we're in May, Defo, and you know what May means? PGA Championship.
Oh, you're
Who the hell put the PGA Championship in May? I know they've done it for a few years, and then with COVID, all the schedules got jumbled, so I didn't know what's what. But apparently, I didn't realize this was a permanent thing. And I used to cover golf for a long time back when I was a sports writer, and I just think it's stupid and wrong. You don't plop the PGA in the middle. You don't need a major every month this time of year. And I always liked when the PGA was the last major of the year, and that would be the chance to have a Grand Slam if anybody had ever won 3 in a row, whatever. But I liked it in the middle of August because it meant like once this week is over, then we're back into football season, college and pros. Now, in the middle of May, it came on yesterday. I didn't even realize they were playing a major, and it shocked me. And then I guess this year's it's at what, Southern Hills in Tulsa, Oklahoma? Is that right?
Yes, it's Schwitz City there.
So do you realize I think there was a past PGA championship, or maybe it was a US Open at
They have
Southern
held the
Hills.
most, I believe they've either held the PGA tournament the most times or, that would be it. That course has hosted the most PGA tournaments of any course.
Okay, so let me tell you something about Southern Hills in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
You
I
played
went
this.
there.
Oh, yeah?
No, I went there once to cover, I think it was a PGA championship. I don't remember the year. I don't remember who won. I don't remember any single thing about that course. And most shockingly, I don't remember any single meal I ate that week.
Get out of here.
That is how nondescript and just bland, Midwestern boring Southern Hills in Tulsa, Oklahoma is.
It looked pretty weird. I don't even know if my guys all played yesterday that I have in the golf pool. Is Justin Rose, did he withdraw from this tournament? I couldn't find him anywhere with a search warrant. I made a few mistakes. Obviously, you're going to have a couple of guys that maybe spit the bit a little bit in the first round. You hope they recover today. But is Justin Rose in the tournament? I picked him as one of my guys in the 7-man pool that I have for cumulative score to win a pretty substantial chunk of cash. I couldn't find his score anywhere.
I think
nowhere.
the last time I saw Justin Rose, he was playing on the Panthers power play.
It would have been it would have been easier to find Joe Rose, with a golf club in his hand.
With Guy Lafleur and Mike Bossy, rest in peace.
Gypsy Rose Lee, probably shot a lower round than he must be. He either had a balloon.
+1. I see him right here. Justin Rose is.
Oh, okay, that's not bad then.
+1. He's actually only 5 shots back.
Can you tell me, Lubie? I guess I could Google it myself, but was there a major championship at Southern Hills like in 1994 or 96? And was it Nick Price that won? Because that might have been the year I was there. But again, I have no specific recollection.
No food scene in Tulsa, though. I mean, no. What would it be? Eating buffalo?
It was steak. It's
steak,
just it's like you just have meat. Just steak and potatoes.
Big chunk of meat.
It was just
All right, the Preakness. So we have to get to this, Mike.
Okay,
Mayo.
yeah.
What is your thinking on the Preakness Stakes?
Well,
and then do I bet radio days, because our radio days were eventually numbered, as is true. Oh no, but we're back on the radio though with the lunchbox every day. So does that count as an extension of my radio career, or is that just a whole separate entity?
It counts towards the extension of the decline of your radio career.
Yeah, I guess I don't know.
No, we love the lunchbox. We love WWNN.
It's great. If we can convince these Let's Eat South Florida people to start listening to the show, I would plug the show every day on that. I would have them. That should be part of your new deal there, whatever that is that you're going to work out in these negotiations. All right.
So
radio days and the Black Eyed Susan, like 12-1 morning line. I have to bet that, and then I have to bet Skippy Longstocking, even though he has no shot in the Preakness.
Why not? Why not go for hunches?
That's my double, my Black Eyed Susan Preakness double.
Go for the hunches, because we saw the first leg of the Crown. Anything is possible. 80-1 is possible. So why not 12-1? No, actually, in the Black Eyed Susan today, I do, just from names and hunch plays, I do also like radio days, because my mom.
You do? Okay.
My mom is a big Woody Allen fan, and she loved the movie Radio Days. And she, just also that was her background and upbringing in Brooklyn and listening to all those radio shows and the music and the soundtrack. So I was going to plunge on Radio Days today, and I heard Caton. Now, I've been wrong about every single thing I've said this week, so I don't think anybody should follow
as
me.
per usual, yes.
But
you do a good job on the food, though. That's for sure.
Food.
Yeah, that's the only thing I have any confidence.
You had a home run there every time.
I am just shot with these picks. And like you said, I'm all over the place. I'm hedging.
You could work for Musburger. You could work for Musburger.
Yeah,
you should write for
we're on
You're a good writer.
Let's Make America Bankrupt Again.
Yeah,
so that's
Bury America.
Look, and I'm wrong about everything, and I hear Caton makes perfect sense. Epicenter is obviously really done very little wrong this year. Looks like the best 3-year-old, consistent, should run away from this field. Will also be about 4-5, and who wants to be a chalk-eating pig? Not me. Yeah. So I'm going to fire on early voting, because Chad Brown, he knows a thing or two about how to bring a horse, a fresh shooter, into a Triple Crown race and win. And I like early voting. I said he was early on in this season. He was my horse. Now, I know Caton was saying that the horses that he ran against in the Wood Memorial, and he finished second in that race, haven't come back and run particularly well. But I don't think early voting are those other horses. He's a different animal. I think he's going to run decent fresh. The only question is Fenwick, that cheap pig that her husband's jockey is on is going to run early voting into the ground, or does early voting have enough tactical speed to lay off if Fenwick wants to be a crazy speedball? And then I think he's classy enough to do it. And if I get 7-2 or more on early voting, I'm plunging with both fists and feet and everything, and that'll get me out from the bet I didn't make on the Panthers.
All right. So I wouldn't shy away from putting at least $5 on the parlay Radio Days to Skippy Longstocking.
Go for it.
There might be a certain serendipity associated with this. Although traditionally, I don't know that I've fared well in the Preakness. I have a lifetime winning record in the Derby because of certain bomberoos that came in, including Country House a few years ago. I don't think I could lose that much money back on the Derby if I bet Derbies to my grave, which, a lot of people are speculating that might be a very short number that I'm looking at there.
You're going to be proud of me, Defo, because I think I'm looking it up. Is early voting the number 5?
I have it here.
Let's see if you
just
got it
put
up
this
there.
away here.
Let's see. How many? I don't see the post position.
Here you go. I'll get it for you here. Early voting's number 5. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, so you're going to do the 5-7. Nice.
Yeah, you're going to be proud of me because your numbers, your birth date, the 7-5 exacta box that you love so much.
Yeah. I wish I was born on a different day, though. I've said that many times.
I wish.
Yeah, I could have been born on like June 8th and boxed the 6-8 all day. I think that comes in more often.
At this point, I wish I was born in a different year and maybe one that was a little bit, I don't know, sooner than our advancing age. Anyway, Armagnac.
But the world was a different place. See, I don't know. You were kind of on the back fringe of this, maybe. But I was thinking the other day. Remember when people used to get together and smile on their brother? I mean, the hippy dippy era. I'm glad I was a part of that. That was part of my upbringing as a young man. Because wow, what a difference from when you pull into a parking space and instead of saying, "No, go ahead, you were here first," the guy pulls out a gun and shoots you and blows your brains out right through the windshield. I mean, it's a different world today.
Obviously, the world has gotten different. But you know what? Every time had its ups and downs. I mean, you're rhapsodizing about the hippy dippies, but if you were born in the wrong year at the wrong time and you lose the draft lottery, there was a draft back then, and people were getting drafted and
I had a high number
killed in Vietnam. So it wasn't so great back then. If you
there was turmoil. There's always turmoil, but in general, the human spirit, at least with the young people that were in America, was that we're going to hold hands and change the world together and make it a better place.
Youth always have enthusiasm and idealism, and that doesn't change. But anyway, 7-5, 7 is Armagnac, and you know me, I love always betting any horse that has a food or drink angle. And Armagnac, of course, is a French brandy after dinner drink. So I'm going to go with Armagnac in early voting and 7-5 box till the cows come home. And good luck to your dog of a dog or the horse.
Skippy Longstocking.
Yeah.
Look, Skippy has been a great dog. I mean, he's like a reformed ex-con or something. I equate him with Matt Damon in Good Will Hunting, where he was just misunderstood, couldn't really find himself until he finally got the right situation and realized that, it's okay to love the world. So I have to throw in a sentimental bet on Skippy Longstocking, but I'm not opposed, and I am always inclined to take a look at the 5 and the 7 and see if there isn't some combination.
Do yourself a favor. Just do a little $5 exacta box. Throw a little.
If I don't do it though, it'll be much like your lightning to sweep.
Yeah,
with a roux here, because
then you'd be 2 for 2 in the Triple Crown for not making the back wheel bet.
Stupid.
On center. Yeah, so let's just all keep it going.
Let me get ahead and put it on backwards here. I'll be like that douchebag.
Are you going out today? Because I'm free once I drop my.
This
morning.
I mean, there's no doubt, and I pulled a move last night. I stopped in at the bank, so it wouldn't look like I went there today and went straight to the track. I tried to disguise the monetary withdrawal so that the Mustang wouldn't immediately start thinking, "I know where you are."
I might,
and that is why nobody would want to have multiple wives, because they'd all be saying the same thing. I know where you are. I know where you are. I know where you are. You're at the track. Oh, he said with dripping sarcasm.
I'll see you up there later. You're going to stick around for the Black Eyed Susan or not? Because I'll watch.
How was the Haitian food, by the way? I never got
excellent.
A report on
it. Yeah. We'll talk about that on the Lunchbox.
Okay,
on WWNN. We had a great visit out there at.
Was it good?
Champagne.
Yeah, it was.
Lubie, what'd you think? I really enjoyed it. delicious. I love
Sounded
that the pickles, that spicy slaw, and they did that little seafood stew with the legumes.
Seafood legume,
yeah, and then the
good.
pork, the griot was really good, and those
Adrian
malanga
Barbeau coming out of the water there with
that mushroom rice
ample.
was excellent. Mushroom rice, which is a Haitian national dish. I forget the name of it, juju or something like that. And then there was these fried malanga with it was just really good. Yeah, it was
sounds exotic.
I will go back there for dinner.
Oh, beautiful. Okay,
Sunday.
we'll have to all go there, man. It's right by the stadium there.
Thumbs up to Casa Champette. So
we'll jog down to a Dolphin game and eat at Casa Champette. All right, Michael, we'll see you at 12 on the Odyssey radio app, and that's pending.
Yeah, if no Transformers blow up or anything happens,
paying its electric
bill. But then we'll get there in time for the early double at Belmont or something.
Very good. Yeah, I wouldn't mind early release today on the show. Like do 12 to 12:15 and then book on out there for the early double. Although it looks very chalky, this early double with a 1 to 2 morning line choice in the second race. Coming back for Bill Mott. All right, thank you, Michael. Great stuff as always. Our thanks to the professor. Of course, the lovely Caton Bredar getting up early. She's going to be on the set here doing Black Eyed Susan coverage on TVG, which they do a great job covering these races. I think, even though you get a little more glitz, and obviously, maybe I'm not sure that they have a bigger investment of cash or capital into the production when NBC takes over the races, Lubie. Like they'll be doing 4 hours or 5 hours of Preakness coverage on Saturday, NBC. But TVG really brings it to the table with great people, including our good friend. And we can't thank her enough. I mean, woman's busy, right? Getting ready to go out there and be on TV for like 6 hours. And, that starts in just a couple of minutes, because I think the first race today is like 10:30. So about an hour and a half away. So people are already milling around the track there, getting their position and setting things up for what should be a terrific day of racing at Pimlico Racecourse. And you can catch all the simulcasts. Our good friends, Hialeah Park. Wow. Tomorrow, I think I might jog down there for the Preakness, though, because that's the kind of day, that you want to spend all day. I don't know what my time schedule is today. Might be prohibitive, but wow, great place to go. Don't forget about it. Champion Simulcasting Room if you want to plunge on the races at beautiful Hialeah Park. And when you win, check into those accommodations at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104. All right, we have to run a little overtime here on a Degenerate Friday. He's Mike Lubitz. You guys have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you again on Monday. We'll have some more definitive answers as to what's going to transpire in the postseason here as we look at the Panthers down 0-2 on the local scene. And then, of course, all these other series are ongoing as well. A lot of Ranger fans will be on edge tonight, hoping that they can steal one in Carolina after coming within an eyelash of doing so in game number 1. So we'll see if Gerard Gallant and his crew can pull it off tonight, kind of be adopting the Rangers as my playoff team now that the Panthers look to be hopelessly dead. All right, see you Monday at 7 in the a.m. Thanks to the people at Ion Channel carrying the program. For Mike Lubitz, I'm Jeff Deforrest. Until next time, we say good luck, everybody, on your bets over the weekend, and we'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:05.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.